fell on the crimson skies. Two brothers stood where fate collides, bound by dreams that burn so bright. In the heart of the codex, we found our light. You gave me strength, though the stars wept tears. Through the void of space, we fought our fears. Each step we took, a piece of us stayed on the edge of destiny. Love never fades. When
Transmit on the Alpha Thadum channel. This is Mel of the Red Thrones. I summon the Amunti Sky Fleet ships Dizar, Neferu, and Kalum to my coordinates.
the crimson skies, two brothers stood where fate collides, bound by dreams that burn so bright. In the heart of the codex, we found our light. You gave me strength, though the
and where your suffering does not cripple you. It invigorates, charges, and gives you the impetus and inspiration to go forward. The personal power, as Don Juan spoke about, is the energy that one accrues through lives, having slowly but surely stripped away the necessity to judge oneself against what they think they see and what they are programmed to believe is real. If you are really believing that there's such a thing as a job, if you really believe that there's such a thing as a government, and the fact of the matter that it can beat your body into place and you say, okay, then it's got to be real, then you and your spirit have been marginalized and regimented for maybe another 1 to 2 lives. But if you know that everything that you're doing is nothing more than a projection, and that what is happening is that you are fed a stimulus that is meant to give a specific effect to you, and in that effect you project from that in reaction to that stimulus, you create the world. So the world is actually a reaction. So now you got to find out who's making you react. When you find out who makes you react, then you overstand the artificial mind that has you creating appetites and judgments to lock down the peripheries of your expansion. Keep you crystallized inside of an artificial paradigm so that every activity, however mad, or brings brothers shooting one another, taking drugs, sisters getting raped, craziness going all around, people killing one another, that is the cause. The peripheries, the chrysalis, the borders have been locked down. They're not allowed to grow. And religion is the one keeping it enforced and in place, because it relegates your thinking to believe that a divinity outside of yourself is not you. How can that which projects you into a projection be not you? Let me say that again. How can that which projects you into the projection where you are projected be not you? The originator and the destinator are the same. There is no disconnection from that which is projected from that which projects. So to say that you got to wait for somebody to come and rescue your ass from out of the projection is the kind of lockdown mentality that they have been promoting to you, so that the energy that you would use in order to expand your consciousness into greater forms of awareness are now turned against your brother and your sister. into destruction. So there you see 5 elements that we're going to go over for a minute. We're going to speak on that. We're going to speak on what is known as the system of force accretion, which we talked about in the last book of the earth. The system of force accretion is generated by what is known as cosmic intent. And all cosmic intent can be seen by the activity of what we see being portrayed to us by the behaviorisms of the planets and the suns and the stars. So for instance, gravity, the force accretion called gravity, working at the level of thought and the atom, is generated by cosmic intent to draw its next existing dimensional field into conjunction with the existing elemental frequency component. So, force accretion is using the next wave harmonic paradigm up from yours to draw it to you so that you and it become one. It is the natural return of the Creator's creation to the Creator. It is the natural implosion process that happens after the explosion. See, they didn't tell you what happens after the Big Bang. After the Big Bang, then there is the coming together of all that was banged. Accretion is simply the curve or the force that returns the projection back to the projector. Consciousness will always return to itself because it doesn't exist outside of itself. It will always be itself. It will never be something different from itself. It will show you degrees based upon the place where you are in relationship to its activity. So it's all about your personal interpretation of what you're looking at, but it will remain the same. Thus, the frequency harmonic octave of the atom, symbolized by the sigil 8, takes 8 times 8 accretion levels of spiraling harmonic resonances of intent to create the 64 codon of the DNA. Let me say that again. The frequency harmonic octave, which is 8, of the atom, symbolized by the sigil 8, as above so below, takes on the 8 times 8 times 8 accretion level of spiraling harmonic resonances of intent to create the 64 codon of the DNA, marking a specific level of consciousness awareness in biological form. So 8 times 8 is what? Exactly. So the accretion level of consciousness, after it has reached a certain level into matter, begins to accrete automatically based upon what it's returning to. So what is it returning to? As we return, we automatically get pulled into the gravitational field of higher consciousness and awareness, into the gravitational field of higher consciousness and awareness, because from the point of explosion back to the center, all the areas here closest to the center represent the highest level of consciousness. So as the periphery begins to collapse back onto itself, which is what's happening, but you don't want to leave the shell, you don't want to leave the surface, you don't want to leave the superficial, and follow the dictates of intelligence back to the learning of itself. See, what happens is, and listen carefully, when the Creator creates, and the mind of the Creator creates, that so-called explosion out from itself, the shell that is created in that limitation, remember, the Most High doesn't create by going out of itself, it creates by going into itself. Whoa. Creation is negation. Listen, there is nothing outside of the Creator. So the only way the Creator can create is to negate. So in the need, in the intent, it negates from itself because it creates the need by the negation. The only way creation can happen is if the need is created. Because if the Creator doesn't create, it's just what it is, without a definition. So the Creator creates by negating itself into this 1/10 of itself, and in that negation do we find that as it begins to go to its limitations, because remember, negation is a form of limitation so the Creator can actually create. Because if there was no limitation in the creation, in the Creator, you would not exist. So as the Creator negates, there are peripherals matching the same 1/10 negation process. So what happens is, what you look at as a big bang is nothing but an implosion-explosion process. That's your 6th and 7th day. As the implosion process happens, an explosion happens in another dimensional frame, in the negative realm, in the realm of matter, in the realm of the feminine, where I told you all of it happens, where intelligence is expressed through the cosmic vulva, through the cosmic uterus. So as it begins to negate, it then creates. But as it creates, because it's limited by 1/10, it will only go to a specific level to match the consciousness that was implanted within that particular womb. Now, as it goes to its limit, in the creation process, a beautiful thing happens. When it reaches its peripheral, the peripheral represents its lowest energy ebb. It is its most ignorant, stupid self. But then a beautiful process happens. In the tidal wave form of energy that goes from the out and creates the shell now fragments into a billion, trillion, innumerable numbers. And as it fragments, as it reaches its shell, it begins to come back to the center that created it. And the journey back to self is consciousness. Can I get an amen? So you have to understand the journey back to self is the journey back to all that is, back to the self that created you, that one self that became individualized by the 1/10 negation of what was and what is and will always be. There is no definition of God without us. God does not exist outside of us. We give definition to God. God does not give definition to us. And in that definition, do we give consciousness another level of itself, a physical level, a female feminine energy level. Because remember, the masculine of God is in the unknown, it's invisible. That's why they showed you us sitting with the sun here. See, everybody was saying, well, that means that there wasn't no goddamn man. Woman created it all. No, she didn't. These are people who are either genuinely ignorant of the true understanding of how the mind of the Creator might work, or they trying to get over by making you feel good about yourself. See, a woman always needs to be reinforced about how she looks and what she is and what she does. And if you got a nigga out there that's telling you, baby, you are the queen, you are the only thing, there's nobody, you are God. To insecure sisters, you can tell them that Africa was matriarchal. You tell them the world was matriarchal. And all the sisters will say, that's right. It's bullshit. Because the esoteric meaning to the mother with the son is to show the evidence of the father. The invisible is what created that particular representative symbolic dynamic you're looking at. And the invisible is always the male force. Let me say that again. The invisible is always the masculine. Cause. The feminine principle is effect. Now that say, well, goddamn, well, it means we can't do nothing but, well, shit. The only way that will affect a woman is if she got too much yang. She got to prove that she's a woman. She's strong. What's a strong woman? Somebody define to me what a strong woman is, and I bet you she's defining a man. No, look at it. What is a strong woman? Today, it's what she does. Today, it's what she does, not who she is. A woman look at make her, woman look at limits, woman look at stand the test, woman look at, wait a minute, whoa. These definitions are stupid. Because a strong woman is one who is not threatened, period, by the bullshit mores that the society tells you that you must fit. She's not threatened by some woman in a corporate goddamn suit. She's not threatened because a woman is driving up in a Beamer. That's the loneliest woman on the planet. Because she has become the man. And no real man is going to be with her. Now anyone can come at me and you can come at me. I defy any feminists out there, and I know that most of them are white, but they got a few black ones too, to sit toe to toe with me and reason with me about what a woman is and what a man is. And I bet you because they don't have all the facts, the cosmic facts, metaphysical facts, the spiritual facts, they will start defining a woman like a man. Now, please do not think that I am not telling you that women are not strong. It's another kind of strength. The kind of strength that comes, a strength that I would not even want to mess with because I couldn't even feel my body playing that way. There's another kind of strength that we have forgotten in women because she's out there now being a man. She's flying planes, she's, kickboxing, she's trying to knock the shit out of another person. She's playing basketball. She's playing baseball, football now. These are how women are being defined. But that is not defining a woman. That is not defining the womb. A girl is not a woman, quiet as it's kept, until she has had a child. A girl is not really a woman, and I'm talking about the woman, man, until she has had a child. Until she not suffered and gone through 16 hours of labor. I'm not talking about that. But until she has been turned and focused into what it is to care for life. You see? The problem with sisters today is because they've been turned to care only for themselves. And there is something inside of their genetic nature that is rebelling against this selfish shit that they've been taught. The very nature that nurtures a woman is in her giving. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter and my granddaughter. The very nature of the woman is to give, to nurture and to give energy to something, to feed it with her love and her unconditional love. See, that's the difference between men and women. It's conditional love from the man and unconditional love from the woman. I only knew my father as the disciplinarian. You don't fuck with him. That's conditional. You did not mess with him. There were rules and regulations, and I didn't see him. If you saw him, your ass was grass. That's the truth. He would be in his room, he would come down, sit with me, talk with me, and that would be it. How's the house running? Cool. When he came in, I felt good. The house is secure. But with mom, please, no, I want to do this. I don't know if you're going to do this. And then say, okay, well, here. But this time, she's constantly redefining borders of behavior based upon her love for who she has with her. She's ready to go that extra. That's why she's carrying the children, because her nature to give and go beyond certain constraints in her own self, to sacrifice that body. That's the nature. It comes second nature, third nature, fourth nature. But today, the mentality for creating is gone from the woman, because the imperative to get a career and to do and to keep the beast churning has been given to her. And I ain't blaming you, please, because there's dumb niggas out there saying, what? You won't get a job too. Take the very essence of your continuation. Take her and put her into a workplace to keep a beast churning out, to keep the implements of your repression and oppression in place. And when she comes back home, that ain't your wife. She don't want to be bothered. What she would have used as her patience and her love has been taxed. Why am I saying all this? Because the accretion process has to happen through her. She is the magnetic principle that, when put into balance, calls forth certain compounds or certain aggregates, certain collections of universal thought forms that begin to solidify into what we think and call elementals. And with the accretion of elements, we begin to see what this creation was at its level of its burst, or its furthest from the center and then back. Let me explain real quick. What we call Earth, again, as we said in the book of the Earth, what we call Earth or manifestation or being is actually a pre-coded geometric expression of atomic molecular intelligence, combining interlocking lines of force carried by vectors of light and sound. Light and sound create the vacuum that calls upon certain atomic structures or certain atomic energies that match the thought form to bring about the existence of the thing. And in doing so, Earth, or anything that becomes and bees, is what is created. Physical reality is being manifested by the concentrated interlocking of harmonic waveforms in the light and sound spectrums created by the evolutionary intent of the cosmic mind. Light represents...
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform. Add products, showcase them dynamically, and seamlessly track your inventory. Accept multiple secure payments, and design your storefront down to the very last detail. Get all the tools you need. Drive more sales with customizable gift cards and flexible product subscriptions. Retain customers with a point-based loyalty program, email automations, and reach millions with sales channel integrations. Complete your setup with a personalized analytics dashboard. Make smart business decisions and shape the next phase of your business. Build, manage, and grow from one place. Go to Wix and launch your online business today.
Created by the evolutionary intent of the cosmic mind. Light represents matter. Sound represents antimatter. Light represents matter. Sound represents antimatter. So for us to do what we, our Kemetic ancestors, did, to travel beyond space and time, to Sirius, Orion, Pleiades, and points infinite, we must first construct a vehicle based on the principles of harmonics, which set up the space-time fields. But setting up space-time fields like our ancestors would be extremely difficult today. Our blood song and our brain capacities have both diminished to severely critical levels, preventing us from interfacing with solar, lunar, stellar, and geocentric grid forms to accomplish this. But white scientists are attempting this mechanically. They have come close to finding out how our ancestors did this through internally vibrating harmonics of the blood song. This they did with specific musical instruments that created intonations that interlocked with sound and notes sung by the vocal cords. The secret, I believe, was to arrange in their minds the harmonics of the atom, electron, proton, and neutron relationship numbers of specific elemental expressions of hydrogen within the body and manipulate their sequences by the use of the will. Thus, the clue to overcoming the problem of temporal displacement is in understanding the way the Earth Mother is built up on octaves and waveforms, or the centralized concentration of waveforms into a planetary wave effect. Now, tones equal notes, and the words themselves come to light. A T-O-N-E, alrighty then. A T-O-N-E is an N-O-T-E. And what is a note except a message to yourself? I gotta make a note of that. So what is a note or a tone but a message the Creator sends to itself? The social speculation of reality becomes locked into our neural conduits by continuous conditioning of the neuronal pathways of the brain, thus fixing our perception into an agreement, that is, an agreement of past-time triangulated parameters of light and sound-based chemical quantums that are shared and supported by the targeted masses. Now, if you can use light and sound to create certain harmonics, which by the way can be destabilized and completely disintegrated by such instruments. If you learn that lights, for instance, like this, create certain density or creations in the brain, causes certain problems in the brain, you can now create subsonic frequencies that can then lock in to your brain and cause you to start thinking. They can start people fighting in here by simply beaming a specific frequency of sound in here. Easily. So now, in closing on this particular fact, I would like to leave you with a formula, a metaphysical formula for traversing time and space. You want it? There is a metaphysical formula that I had given last time, and I'm going to talk about it further on this time. A metaphysical formula for traversing time and space and a way to create a field using tools both of the mind and of the hands. Now listen carefully. I said this in the last one. Since 8, the number 8, the sigil 8, equals the maximum number of electrons that is allowed to accrue within a morphogenetic cell, cloud, or threshold of an element's electron, if we divide the number of potential elemental expressions within the present humanity consciousness envelope, 144 that is, by 8, we get 18 divisions within each elemental unit. So, let me explain. Presently, human perception, vibrating on a specific wavelength, now has decoded the fact that in our present sphere of influence, in our present sphere of projected consciousness, in our present index of awareness, we have now decoded 100, or the capacity for 144 elements. In other words, the hydrogen atom within our sphere of influence has only the capacity to accrete to 144 different expressions of itself. If the accretion pattern takes place in numerals of 8, then dividing the 8 by the 144, what do you get? 18. 18 is 666, which is the fundamental grounding element, carbon. So here we have God speaking, quote unquote, in the form of geometric patterns and inspiration. Now, if we divide the elemental table into every 18 elements from hydrogen, we get argon, or what they define as argon. 18 up from that, we get krypton. And who came from krypton? And when is that going to be released? Next year. Oh yeah. Well, it's out today in Smallville. Kal El. All of the Moors. All the eels. The Moors. All the eels. 18 up is Xenon. Club Xenon. Huge. Next 72, Hafnim. Now the Hafnim is HFNM, which ends up being Yud-He Wav-He. The formula. You have to look up the Sefer Yetzirah to see what I'm talking about. And then 90 comes thorium. Now, so far, that's the most of the elemental table that we've gotten. Now, to the next. By the way, everybody, give it up for Brother Leon, my tech support. Now, see, the problem is we don't have any names for these next 18 going up. So these three up to 144, these elements, all of them from 108, 109, 110, all the way to 144, these elements represent the undiscovered realms of dark matter material consciousness that is yet to manifest within our third density paradigm. But the accretion process has been locked down. That is why we are being delayed in coming to this overstanding, because there are some people who have the best of intentions, or in the worst connected to it, who are trying to stop the 144,000 from getting the fuck out of here. The 144 represents it. It's the number 9, the number of completion, the number of the spiral of the universe, the symbol and the sigil of the spiraling universe. That's it. That's the completion. Now, here's the secret. Within the spectrum of the 54 undiscovered, remember it's 54, and that equals, come on, the 54 undiscovered elements between the numbers 108, 126, and 144. Within that spectrum, it would constitute the remaining resonant harmonics necessary to be tuned or manipulated so that a space-time machine could exist or exit the present light code reality threshold and crisscross time and space. Caucasoids are now building a machine to do that. The elements 108 to elements 144 represents the 54 undetermined accretion harmonics constituting the 9 underworlds of the Olmec Maya, 5 plus 4, and represent also the remaining harmonic values of the hydrogen atom in third density awareness. So the hydrogen atom becomes the foundational proponent that then gives all of its multifarious potentials in what we see in our third density perception as elements. L. Mental. God's mind. So now you understand that these elements aren't just there because some fool is in the laboratories calling it these names. They are looking for the threshold so that they can get out, but they can't get out. Why? Because they don't have the melanin matrix. They don't have the skipjack. They don't have the ability to get beyond the threshold, so they got to keep you in lockdown. And while you are in that particular bubble of your awareness, you're fighting and causing each other, nigga, fuck you, bang. The energy that you create inside of that bubble there. Shoot another nigga over there, we want to play. Bang! Oh, the cops did this, bring it all up. Your persecution is their crack. Melanin is fire. And melanin is psychoreactive. Every time you get pissed off, you emanate loosh, as it was called. You bleed. The membranes of your aura bleeds. And it bleeds most when you are in fear. And they are there. And what they have learned is that they do not have the capacity to escape, so they know that they have to create artificial models to get out of the space-time quantum. So now they have learned what your ancestors have learned in their mentality. They have learned to convert time into energy. And they learn time into energy through the machines. But what they have done is they have fucked up your mind so that you can't convert time to energy. That's why they got you doing time. That's why they got you on a job doing time. Because time is an energy. And now they've learned to create a weapon out of a time module. I'm going to talk about that maybe in part 3. How time is used as a weapon. All right? So, to the higher adept students, these elemental harmonics are already lying dormant within their present genetic coding in the so-called junk DNA. A mind trained in the highest disciplines of yoga could organize the necessary elemental harmonics through vocal intonations and visualization, amplified through the Kundalini force by way of the wheels of the chakra. By organizing the atomic field energy output of each elemental harmonic into the right overtones, we could do what they did in Star Trek. Harmonize and then beam the fuck out. One course as this, of course, as this can happen individually. It can happen on the planetary level of consciousness because all planets evolve within cycles of time designated by the bands. All planets evolve within cycles of time designated by the bands of encoded cosmic intent in which they appear and travel. So the orbit that you now have around the sun is designated consciousness. It's a designated threshold of consciousness. This is a prison planet. Everybody is in some form or quality of lockdown. And the problem is those who want to get us out of it are killed. Because they know the way out. They know what time to leave, what time to get out, what time to book, what time to say, that's it, I'm out. Don't go nowhere yet. I just kind of whetted your appetite for a minute. Next. Let me get the lights just for a minute. You can see this effect. You can turn them all out and then turn them back on again. Yes. What we are looking at is what is known as Krillian photography. It's made after this Russian called Ivor Krillian, I think. Stanislaus, something like that. Krillian. And you can take a picture of the auric field using a camera that's resonating on the field of the aura. And when you see that you are not the body, you are, as Master Yoda said, luminous beings are we. We are not this. And the whole job of the oppressor is to make us believe, belie, that this is all you are. Anytime someone wants to ratchet up your suffering is to make you aware of your body. Let me say that again. Whenever anyone wants you to suffer, it's to make you become more aware and entrenched in the reactions of the physical. Thus become addicted to it or somehow locked down by the fear of it. So therefore, it regiments your behavior. The light that you see emanating from this creature is who this creature is. The projected image. The projected image is the illusion. But since there is no space or time where the projection actually is projecting from, we look and see the evidence of the projector in the projection. So the auric field is who we are, or evidence of who we really are. It is the ambient field generated by the movement of life, by the atomic energies that you are. You are an atomic reactor. And some of us have meltdowns. Thank you. The lights, please. And we're going to get to it. Now, okay. This is in honor of Dr. Ann Brown and her work. Listen carefully. The spiraling wave and particle content of our cells and our DNA and the Earth's etheric body pulses at a rhythm that matches each other's density. And the spiraling matter particles align their spin to the angular rotations that match the dimension to which they are ascending. So, As your atoms are getting out or escaping, we say, give me a shot of the dimensions. Oh, great. As we say, we set up layers, multi-dimensions, flowing in and out of one another. The point where you are in reference to that dimension, say here, is representative of a band that your atom is rotating on. So, the present rotational axis, speed, and arc of the spin of the electron defines your dimension. How your atom relates to its electron and how it is spinning, its particular vector, tells you which dimension you're operating on. When the spiral changes from here, and the accretion process by the intent and need created by the atom to go back to its source, it begins to call to itself other elements that now match another wavelength of intensity. And you begin the accretion process of expanding to that dimension.
Great content needs a great audience, like your boss needs validation. Thanks, guys. With TubeBuddy, you get everything you need to grow your audience. Click the link to sign up.
And you begin the accretion process of expanding to that dimension. So if you understand that we are looking at what is being, just shut it off for just a second so the effect can be given. What you are looking at is a kind of computer graph of what a dimensional interlock looks like. All is energy. The part of us that is so different is that we are intelligent energy. And there is a great overriding intelligence that continues to seek itself. But its intelligence has not been qualified until it has taken the steps down to the lowest level of matter and then accretes itself back to its center again. This is the lesson of all life. To participate in different forms of expression, to get into consciousness on different levels of expression, from the amoeba all the way out to man, and to bridge the distance of consciousness from one level to the next by way of motion, by way of what it is that you choose to move from one point to the next. Because remember, third density consciousness is based upon your reference to something else that is perceived to be tangible. So how you bridge this distance denotes the level of your consciousness. So consciousness creates different modes to bridge. It creates legs. It creates fins. It creates wings, all with the purpose of bridging distances and coordinates within itself. It sets up a matrix and a pattern of behavior so that the interlocking, spiraling life weaves a web and tapestry of awareness to one another. This is why the Native American peoples always said, all my relations. Because every part of the Native American ancestry or ancient Moorish ancestry is about interrelating with all life and saying that that life has a purpose and that they were the teachers of man because they never left or stepped off of their purpose. See, animals are deep because they never leave and become something else. They simply are what they are. And because they are part of the mosaic of life, and they are acting totally within the mosaic of life and nothing else, man, who has the latitude to do any damn thing he wants, can study what it is to become an ordered human. One who is in step and in lock with their true instincts and with divine law. Lights, next one. Now, got a little jet going around there. Why I'm saying this is to bring you to where the heck we are today. I told you that everything emanates from out of the womb of woman because she is the potential for all things, but she does not activate herself, she is activated. The activator can't really activate or know itself without her. So the two are one. And they have a need. And the need was created when the schism was created. This is why the 1/10 was created. And the 1/10, if you take a circle and make it 1/10, it looks like a yoni, a vagina. What? Circle? 1/10. What is that? So when the 1/10 happened, when the separation took place, the need for one another took place. The need was created. The need to create was created. Otherwise, the creator would just be sitting up there, yin yang, fuck it all, I'm here. That's it. No life, no nothing. I am life. Get over it. No, you can't be this. I wanna. There is nothing. Matter of fact, it wouldn't even be asking any question. It would just be. There'd be nothing to ask, nothing to do. But just imagine what is that intelligence that calls upon itself that need, because it began to look upon the face of its beauty, you know, the seductress. You see how man becomes seduced by the female form and the feminine energy, and she dolls herself up. She's constantly body conscious. Why do you think a woman is so body conscious about her looks and her beauty? It's because that is an ingrained seed that she must continuously amplify and nurture, because it is her that creates the illusion or gives the illusion substantiality. She must be body conscious, because if she wasn't, the other half of her wouldn't give a damn. So implicit within the feminine principle is to be body conscious, to make sure that the other half sees her and yearns for her. And if you don't yearn for her, she gets pissed. You're not yearning. And she will do things to get your attention. And that's why somebody said, well, the best sex was after we argued. That's because she wanted that particular energy to happen. If you are not in that energy, she will make your life miserable, because her specific purpose is continuing. Continuity. And the sister's saying, oh shit. He knows something. It is part of who she is, and I adore it. I think it's great. Give him time. Go ahead. Get in the mirror. But yeah, because that's who they are, the allure, the beauty, the energy. That is to get us seduced by. What is created within her is created outside in the trees, in the way life comes together. All of that is part of it. So where else must we return except back to the cosmic yogi? Now we are looking at the galactic night versus the galactic day. We are coming into the rift. The rift is a place in the Milky Way system. Time I make a mistake. But I did find the first thing that was wrong with me is that I had to reclaim my nuts. I had to find them up in there. And I was calling on them too. Come down, God damn it! And they were peeking out too. It's like, is it all right to come out now? Always looking for permission. I don't look for permission for shit. I don't know. You know, it's like, you know, you got so much, you know, to tell some brothers and sisters about it, and then it's like, okay, what now? You go out and, you know, you're back in the house. It's like, what am I looking at? Have you taken inventory of your house? But it's a confused looking illusion. When we began to move, I didn't know I accumulated so much shit. We threw out, hand to the Creator, 16 bags of super trash garbage. Now, I'm not talking about them little trash bags. I'm talking about these sons of bitches that the janitors in the buildings use. 15 of them. I'm saying, where's all this shit coming from? And when I threw it out, I come back, it still looked the same. Then each time as I was throwing something out, I was saying, I remember the memory that attached me to it to keep it. And I said, no, fuck you, no, throw this shit out. It's because I began dealing from the feminine paradigm of hoarding. Maybe I need it later. No, a creator creates it later. The woman hoards it so that we can have it, she can have it to help the children later. But if I have a problem later, I'll solve it by dealing with my intelligence and the knowledge and the abstract thinking that I was created to do. Look inside of your life in the house and look at it and see what you've become. And look at the furniture you accrue, and you got about maybe 2 inches of space once you walk in the house. You're doing this, and then this, and then this. You got a nice apartment, but there's nothing in there for you. And you done wore the rug out, walking in one little direction, constantly, not enjoying the room. Throw shit out. And you were surprised how you begin to breathe. And you look at yourself. Everything, all the harmonics that you've accrued through the furniture and the shit in your house, the clothes, all of that, give it away. All of that will all of a sudden be like, oh my God. Whew. Next. Please, lights. The rift is a cosmic band of light. And they're giving you a perspectives of both sides of the galaxies that the rift through the Milky Way is affecting. So you're looking at one side and then the other. Thank you, whoever that is. So, if you were to fold these together in an oval, then you would get a circumference or a circumscribing of our Milky Way galaxy? I do, didn't I? Oh, you did. You sure did. See? That's what I need. Yay! Yes, go ahead. Now, if you look at it, what are we looking at, fellas? No, I'm not talking about the, yeah, I'm talking about titties, but I'm talking about the fact, no, that's why we're so hooked up on them, because they're oval, all right? And that's what we came from. Hi, and then here, right here, this is the yoni, or the return back to the cosmic yoni, the galactic yoni, that is going to refresh us, give us a rebirth. Right, as Dr. Ben used to say. This line or band, and where we are in relationship to it, we are going to get ready to enter it come the 12th, or the 21st of December 2012. We're already feeling the influences of it. Next one, please. Again, an infrared picture of the universe shows that there is a clear area or band of energy that is pure light. It is a string, almost like a synapse, a ganglia, a galactic ganglia, showing that we are right now getting ready to be reborn, and that the energy that we're looking at in the spiraling of this thing is that wherever we are in this matrix, because if it looks, you can see it, it looks like a molecule. How the lattice of the galaxies all look like a lattice that is a molecule. You see it here strung? All of this. And where we are in relationship to this rift is, let's just say, right about here. Next picture. Again, this is a composite of the observed universe. And here we are in the spiral, in the universal egg that our ancestors have been always showing you in the form of spiral, in the universal egg that our ancestors have been always showing you in the form of petroglyphs and spectroglyphs. We are in the cosmic egg, in the womb. We are about to be reborn. This is all of the milk of mama. This is the material used by the woman's body to create the new man. And you are changing. Why? Because the light you see is the inverted, listen up, the inverted reflection of dark matter. Next. Here again is a computer composite of the relationship of galaxies. All these are galaxies that are close to and are about to come into conjunction with that same dark matter band wavelength in our galaxy that is about to change the consciousness index of all life forms on the planets that are affected, that go into its particular realm of influence. Next. Here it is again in real light. This is the picture taken by NASA of the Milky Way rift. This is where we are heading. Now, some of the biblical and all of the different writings have always said that there seems to be, with the change of every consciousness, oh, everybody give it up. Here's Sister Myra L. let me tell you how deep this is. The sister broke down on the Van Wyck. Brother came up out of nowhere to fix her her car. She was on her way here, could have turned back, but still stayed, came. Definitely a sister after my own heart. Thank you, sister. This is the rift that is spoken about where we come into the rapture, as mentioned. This is where the Christians try to claim a cosmic event as theirs. This rift is seen and will be seen as we come closer to 2012 going through 2019. As we enter a specific part of this dark rift in here, depending on which one of the which part of our solar system goes into it first. If the Earth goes into it first, there will be one side of that planet that will only see darkness for 3 days. Ah, where have you heard that before, right? If the sun enters it, then it's total blackness for the planet for 3 days. All electrical and magnetic systems shut down. That's why when brother was talking about low tech, this is what we're talking about. So the rift is where we go in to recharge our dark matter melanin. And isn't it perfect that Dr. Brown would come out with a book and her colleagues to give us the information of why darkness is necessary, why you must sleep in complete darkness, which is one of my foibles, which is why it's got to be pitch black while the movie came out. Next. Here it is again, another shot by NASA. This is the rift. And it's nothing more than the cosmic yoni that we are about to enter to refresh ourselves. That we are about to enter to be reborn again. Lights, please. Now, well, that's all right. Everybody's clapping the way they want to. Now listen very carefully, brothers and sisters. The changing of our molecular structure is the refining of the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone is the gene. The philosopher's stone of thought alchemy and the grand secret of biological ascension to higher dimensions of cosmic intelligence. It is the continuous shifting of the angular rotation of particles that create the various doorways to higher levels of dimensional awareness. It is through the mind's manipulation of the particle rotation of elements that gives us, the observer, the illusion of passage through linear time. So as we look at an event, it is the way the particles rotate that gives us our perception of the event, and thus has our thoughts codifying it as an experience. What will happen as we enter is that the reference to that same kind of energy where we look at something and then can identify it, we ain't gonna be able to identify it. That's why a lot of the people who are in higher frequencies tend to be forgetting shit. It's like, what was I saying? Because our reference to reality is shifting. I'll be talking to all the higher depths, Queen. What was I saying just now? Because we are not in the paradigm. We are walking outside in rhythm, moving in sound. And we are humming to the music, trying to move on. See, that's why they took your music. Because we were talking all about what was happening. Huh? Trying to get home. See, brother knows. Now, very quickly, so we can get to the last level. And we could bring it to the creation. Hit me. You like James Brown. Now, everybody now speaks of the fact that something is happening and a new world is beginning. I told you that accretion is how the spiral is created. Now, listen carefully. Consciousness manifests itself in what it calls the dark waters of potential in the form of spirals. In that angular rotation of the spirals, everything within that consciousness dynamic has to be created in that order. So all things that solidify around a center. And it solidifies according to the yin and the yang perspectives. One aspect has to be a yang, the other aspect has to be a yin. And since everything is spiraling in a spiral around a spiral, then it stands to reason that all things were created around a center. The center does not necessarily have to be a stick with something running around it. The centrifugal line of force that is invisible to us can act as the axis of consciousness, around which the elementals, through accretion, solidify themselves. That's how gravity takes place. Ladies and gentlemen, one more of my siblings, Amen. My son has just come in. Give it up for him. He thought he could sneak in. The earth itself has a centrifugal or center of reference around which the matter that we see has accrued. Next. Depictions of this have been shown around the world constantly and is buried in the Vatican. Depictions of the fact that sailors who sailed into certain areas or zones of activity or places on the planet never returned. This is an actual depiction of the world as brought back by ancient mariners. Lights, please. Again. And as a result, because of what it is that the earth is really about, those who want to keep you in lockdown tell you that the whole damn thing is smooth. That somehow there's a top. But when John Glenn went up on the cover of Look magazine 1967, I believe, it showed the top of the world as a whole. And once that happened, NASA, the government, and the secret government, the shadow government said anyone taking pictures of the world has to airbrush the both ends where the hole is before they release it to public. Now what we have are shots of NASA, please, showing you the top of the world. Some deep shit, right? And just when you thought that there wasn't something else to think about, now you know there's a hole in the fucking earth.
Admiral Byrd said the same.
Right.
Back in the 40s.
Back in the 40s.
Admiral Byrd.
Now what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit there and say, ooh, oh, that's some deep shit. Let me take another tote. Here's what they try to tell you is the Arctic and Antarctica. The Arctic and the Antarctica. But they never tell you what's going on. And as Maurice said, Admiral Byrd said that. In fact, he flew over what was called the North Pole, and as he was flying, he went down because he thought he saw something through a low trajectory and height, and began skimming at the top of the trees. And he said, well, wait a minute, where are we, over Greenland? He said, well, wait a minute, Greenland don't have palm trees and these different kind of fauna. It don't make no sense. Where are we? He was flying inside the planet. Started to call back, and all of the communication, this is in his log, which the government confiscated. Started to call back to ask, where am I, where are my bearings, and all of the communication shut down. As he flew, he documented, and I read it, he said he saw animals that he thought were extinct. And only because his plane was running out of gas did he not either land or keep going. And he was flying, he said, for at least 500 miles before he turned around and flew back out. When he returned, the government said, okay, that's it, thank you, and tried to assassinate him. Byrd said, yep, he took 4,000 men with him. Right, now we're just going to get to that. He convinced some members of the military that our government has not been too truthful to us. And he came back with evidence of this and was able to grab up a few thousand men to make a move to get in there. But as he entered the lip to get in, he started getting fired upon. To this date, jets fly over the aperture to make sure that no commercial plane flies over the North Pole. Now, next picture. This is a photograph taken January 1967 by the satellite ESA-3, clearly showing the hole in the North Pole. We live on a fucking donut. Maybe why Dunkin' Donuts is so damn popular. Yeah. The light is the sun. And you have to remember that our angle to the sun changes as it spins. So the satellite may take pictures that are reflective. And remember also that the cameras that are taken up there are created to reflect the light of the sun onto the place where it is to take the picture of. So there is clearly a hole. But wait a minute. This is a still picture. Check. Shall we? Hold it. Bring back. Go back. Go back. Here we have pictures of the hollow blast, of the hollow earth, and somebody calling it Agartha, land of the adverse races, city of Shambhala, cave city of the advanced races, and they're all white. The cracker got this Jones for showing himself into everything that don't belong to him. He constantly got to put it. There was a movie I was looking at that really blew my mind called, what was that called again? Oh, I don't remember it. But it's Battlestar Galactica, the new one. And everybody's a cracker there. Everybody's blonde and they're shooting at aliens. And they're wearing the ancient Kemetic headdress. Yes, as the helmet. Stargate. All about crackers in charge of a Stargate. And the black man, who's the only powerful being that's there, the one that's wise, he's taking orders. Taking orders. Now we took a shot of the top of the sun, of the earth, and you got a still picture of the shot of the earth. What we are about to show you is a moving camera shot. Hold it. A moving camera shot. Listen, looky, looky. There's your earth. There's your hole. There's your hole. There's your hole. Now, get ready. What you are seeing is a satellite shot zooming in on the hole and taking pictures of projected light inside. What are you looking at? Right here. No, you're looking at green. Mountains, vegetation. You don't understand? It means that the earth has life, not only living on the outside borders of it, but the inside borders. And that whatever that energy is that travels from the top of the North Pole out to the bottom of the Antarctica, there is a centrifugal and countercentrifugal force that is also creating gravity on the inside as well as on the outside. And that what you are looking at essentially, yes, thank you very much. I think I put it away. Did I put it over here? I think I did. Yes, I did. What you are looking at is the satellite moving over, taking pictures, and moving on again. And you're looking at mountain ranges coming into view. Nope. That's all we could get. Next. Serious is the word, all right. Yes, the Antarctica is a whole. You know, the top and the bottom both have apertures that lead to a center, or in other words, a core. In other words, access to the core is, there's an ability to access the core of the earth. Nope. Yes. Yes. Yes, dear. Well, that could be it. But all of the stories by Caucasians about the trip that we are taking in consciousness always is related to him. Remember, the Caucasian is a matriarchist, even though he looks like he's patriarchal. He thinks like a woman. He is material. He's materialistic. He is materialistic. He is non-spiritual. He has no focused component in what is abstract. He does not know how to perceive the abstract. He writes stories now of what he has learned of Kemet. But the European civilization is a non-abstract thinking construct. Well, that would be, I know that's funny you should say that, but that's part of a feminine matrix as well. Lack of accountability. Well, he's not just a girl, and that's not, he's not just a girl, he is a perverted representation of the human dynamic. He is a deviant, and his behavior, you are known by your.
This business AI hack feels illegal to know about. It's like Canva, ChatGPT, Google Docs, and Midjourney all had an AI baby. Go to this AI website, click turn website into content, and paste your business URL. For
He is a deviant, and his behavior, you are known by your works. You are known by your works. And I'm not saying this about the me versus the I to be facetious with the feminine principle, but the feminine principle is the me for a reason. She needs to be that in order to consolidate the energies necessary for her to mother the generation. The I is the male, he's impersonal. He could give a damn sometimes about things that she really, really cares about. But it isn't because he doesn't care, it's just that there's nothing there to interest him. And women want you to be interested in what they want because they're about the me versus the I. And the me is dealing with feelings, it's dealing with emotions. It's dealing about a consolidation of turning everything in towards me, whereas the male is about turning it outward. So the inward is the me, the outward is the I, the impersonal I. But that's another story. Very quickly, we can go to the next phase. Creation. The Sumerians made it clear 6,000 years ago in their cosmogony. They speak of a gigantic cataclysm that took place, an event that was related in miscellaneous texts, hymns, and proverbs, just as you find in Psalms, Proverbs, Job, and Revelations. The event was related step by step on 7 tablets. Of the original tablets, only fragments and quotations have been found, the most complete texts being the Akkadian language, which was the language of the Assyrians and Babylonians who followed the Sumerians into Mesopotamia, who were all black. Proof of its authenticity. Before the newer discoveries, the prevailing scientific viewpoint believed that our solar system, as we see it today, started this way from the beginning, having been formed by immutable laws of celestial motion and the forces of gravity. Meteorites were said to have come from somewhere else and collided with the stable members of our solar system, making craters along with comets that zoom about with greatly elongated orbits, appearing and disappearing each and every eon. It was believed that this cosmic debris went back to the beginning of beginnings in our solar system some 4.5 billion years ago and are pieces of planetary matter that failed to be incorporated into the planets or their moons and rings. Listen carefully. The asteroid belt, according to what is known as Bode's law, is an empirical rule that explains why the planets formed where they did, should have been, and in what particular quadrant they ended up in. 2 problems with the theory of Bode's law is that the total amount of matter in the asteroid belt, listen carefully, the total amount of matter in our asteroid belt does not add up to the mass of much of a planet, of any kind of planet that existed there. And there is no plausible explanation for what might have caused the breakup of such a hypothetical planet. If a celestial collision, when and why happened, where is the evidence? Consider the fact that Voyager showed in 1986 that the planet Uranus was tilted on its side. Its moons swirled around the equator of Uranus in its tilted position, forming altogether a kind of bullseye facing our sun. So in other words, Uranus is tilted on its axis and looks like a bullseye if we were to stand on the sun and look directly at it. This made the scientists wonder whether these moons were there at the time of the tilting event or whether they formed after the event perhaps from debris thrown out by the force of a collision. Scientists speculate that if the moons formed at the same time as Uranus, the celestial raw material from which they came should have condensed the heavier matter nearer the planet. There should have been more of a heavier rocky material than thinner ice, coats of the inner moons, and a lighter combination of material, more water, less ice, less rocks on the outer moons. The same principle being that around our sun, a larger portion of the heaviest material would be closer, the lighter, more gaseous states farther out. So, the further out we go from our inner solar system, the more gaseous the planets become, because they are now presently in a form of consolidation. Okay, let me get that straight. The outer planets, like Uranus, Neptune, and so forth, seem to be in a haze when you look at them from afar. That's because they are now in their shrinking process. They are now solidifying to become whatever it is that consciousness has dictated they are going to become. And in their shrinking process, do they now align our energies and influence us depending upon the temperaments of their evolution? So, planetary evolution and its spin around the planet and its conjunction to us is dictating what it is that our evolutionary mandate is. So the sounds that they create as they spin, the wake of material that they leave as they spin, that we breathe, that comes into our atmosphere, all of these part and parcel of what are creating us. Now they keep saying that everything that is in the solar system was here, already here. The funny part about it is that Uranus, the rings that are around it, are pitch black. Let me say that again. Uranus, and we have a master astrologer here, Uranus is surrounded by rings, but the rings are pitch black. Dr. I.M. Brown will tell you that the pitch black matter is not coal, it's not dust, it's the consolidation of a harmonic. Of the outer planets and our sun began to draw it to us. So, please, the picture. Lights. 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 Thank you. What we are looking at is the trajectory of Marduk, the trajectory of Nibiru as it entered into our solar system. Now, this is after it created all of this. But the story is that an invader came. And I'm going to read it to you the way, our people were so beautiful. When they were watching the creation of the solar system, they were writing it down in poetic form. Beautiful form. Lights. We'll be over with this in a minute. I want to put this down so that we can segue ourselves into part 3. This general, this Marduk, this Nibiru, seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. The first of the outer planets to attract Nibiru with its gravitational pull was Neptune, or Ea, E-A, which meant he whose house is water in Sumerian. The other ancient Sumerian texts say, he who begot him Nibiru was Ea. Ea, water, the story of the virgin being Mary or Ma, out of the waters came our creation, out of the void let there be light. All of this came from the creation story of your universe as told by the scientists, not no damn priests, the scientists of your people. It was said in the text that Nibiru was an awesome sight to behold. They say of it alluring, lofty, lordly, sparkling. Sparks and flashes, or 8 points of light bolted from it toward Neptune and Uranus as it passed near them. It may have also arrived with its own satellite already orbiting it, or took some as a result of the pull of the other planets. The text speaks of his perfect members, difficult to perceive. 4 were his eyes, 4 were his ears. As Nibiru passed Ea, Neptune, his side began to bulge, this is the story, as though he had a second head. This head may have been torn off by gravity to become Neptune's moon Triton. This would also be because it is said that Nibiru entered the solar system in a retrograde or clockwise orbit opposite to that of the other planets. In other words, as Nibiru was entering into the planet, into our solar system, our planets taking on a counterclockwise spin, he came in a clockwise spin, which made him come in at a retrograde, which is like, wait a minute, isn't the clock side positive and then the retrograde going the opposite direction? No. It was going opposite. Opposite. So now, if you look at it, the solar system in retrograde, which is clockwise orbit, opposite to the other planets, will explain why Triton's own retrograde movement and highly elliptical orbits of other satellites and comets and other major events can then be solved. More satellites were created as Nibiru Marduk passed. Anu brought forth and begot the 4 winds. Now listen carefully. The 4 winds were the 4 generals. The above is reference to the 4 major moons of Uranus that were formed during Uranus's collision with Nibiru that tilted it. Later, in this same passage, we learn that Nibiru himself gained 3 satellites as a result of the collision. The Sumerian texts describe how Nibiru, after his eventual capture by Apsu, revisited the outer planets and eventually shaped them into the system we know today. His very first encounter already explains the various puzzles that modern astronomy still cannot solve regarding Neptune, Uranus, their moons, and their rings. As Nibiru zoomed past Neptune and Uranus, he was drawn even deeper into the mists of our system as he reached the intense gravitational pulls of Saturn. Saturn was called Ansha, foremost in the heavens, and Jupiter was called Kisha, foremost of the formed lands, Lucifer and Michael. As Marduk neared and stood as though in combat near Asha, Saturn, the 2 planets kissed their lips. And here we have the orbital path of Nibiru being changed forever. So, Nibiru hit Ansha, hit Saturn or Uranus, and this is the present trajectory as a result, making the orbit 1,462 years before it gets back to us. And it's on its way. Nibiru had 7 satellites. Tiamat had 11. Gravity is the controlling component of all light. Gravity is the controlling component of all light. Next picture, please. Yes. Lights, please, real quickly. This is not done to scale. But here we have the sun. Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Luna, the moon, and Mars. And then you get into the gaseous planets, which are just forming. Because of the sun's influence, are staying gaseous. The closer they move towards it, the more they consolidate. We see that the orbiting planet itself, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and here you have Nibiru. Now supposedly, Nibiru has been circling us for some time, leaving evidence of its intelligence here on our Earth, as well as on other planets, because as of 1996, they found what looked like cranes on Venus. Satellite pictures of Venus showed pictures of cranes. Cranes. Like the ones they use downtown to build buildings. Next picture. I'm going to move on now because I see that I'm talking to the top of the heads of most of the people today, right now. They're not accustomed to talking or listening for 11 hours, so we'll wait for a minute. And we'll take this on in part 3. Now, please, people think that we are not being visited. And I will close out my session with this. Here are NASA shots of events taking place in outer space where we are at war. We are at war. We see, run that back again. Here we see, watch its maneuver. It moves out of the way because it just shot at it. Watch, bang. Let's see that again. No shooting stars, they tried to shoot at it. Here is the orbiter, one of our visitors. It's been located, he says, oh shit. And just got out of the way in time. Next. Here is a classified list. Oh, now bring this up and freeze it. Most of the people, what we can see of the index that is creation. Anything that is created is basically 10% of spirit. More of it. Okay, next one. That's it? Okay. Lights. If you believe and think that you are alone, there's something wrong with you. Let me turn this off. Yes. Brothers and sisters, this is my final day with you all for a while, and it's been a pleasure. I've been loving it.
Honored to meet most of the brothers and sisters in this community that have really, truly been about something. And I've met all the others too. And I have been saddened, and I have been overjoyed about all the things that I thought were relevant and all the things that were not relevant that I went and followed and found out that they weren't. But I had to do that. I've come to this point now in my life where I've said enough. God knows, I know you all got to be tired of hearing me talking, because I'm saying pretty much the same thing on different levels.
That's right.
And what I want you to do, if anything I've done is meant to teach you, is to not so much use what we've shared together as a drug. Get people to listen to you. Use it to nurture and to nourish. Some people can't eat as much as you do. Some people can only nibble. Don't try to force feed anyone. The problem is we think that because we know, that everybody else should know. It's not like that. Remember, it's only a few fucking people back it up. And it's when you're only a few that help you get back in the working condition. I have, at this point, said that I can't teach anymore just to teach. That since people believe and understand and respect credentials, that I have now formulated my University of Metaphysics online for people to become certified in metaphysical psychology. Now some of you say, well, what is metaphysical psychology? Somebody asks, what's metaphysical psychology? Isn't that like the same thing? No. Psychology is to confine, constrict, and to regulate your behavior. What they see as abnormal is supposed to get you regimented back into what the society says is normal. Psychology is to make some kind of sense out of the madness that comes from thinking and being like a European. Madness was not an epidemic when we were there. We were in control of the planet. We did not have asylums. We did not have orphanages. We did not have jails. Insanity comes in all forms. And anyone who looks insane are actually the healthy ones, giving you the true reaction to what is really happening around you. So insanity is a form of sane expression of the insanity that is inherent within this society. So, in myself, I said, okay, well then metaphysical psychology has to be we using the psyche and understanding how the causal realms work. Psychologists and psychiatrists don't want to find the root of your problem to cure you. They only go after your symptoms to drug you. In fact, psychiatry as a discipline was supposed to be dropped from the medical roll. And psychiatrists petitioned the AMA and the FDA to do anything they would want to stay as a credentialed agency. So, the pharmaceuticals said, we will pick up your contract if you push drugs for us. And Ritalin was involved. And ADD, and all of these diseases that ain't got shit to do with nothing, suddenly appeared on the social construct and content. And all kinds of drugs to deal with the control of the male energy came into play. We needed to shut down the creative mind, and Ritalin was born. And Ritalin now takes these other sophisticated forms, because from Ritalin you go to stronger shit. But it's all to sedate you, because your natural reaction to madness is to act like a crazy person. Vaccination paradigm, all of these things are inherent within it. With that, I say that for those of you who wish to join our metaphysical university online, please drop us a line at friends@templehealing.com. Don't be too quick to write. But of course, the metaphysical, or what we call the metaphysical, or the University of The certification process is for metaphysical psychology, but there is a pre-certification process at the same time to learn naturopathic medicine and hygienic science. I will teach you the truth around natural healing, but that will be a pre-certification course before Queen gives me specific credentials so that I can turn it into an official document. When you have that paper, you can go out and teach and even make money with what you learn, but not be of a school regulated by license and other forms of codification that maintain you in a form of life. The course happens once a month on the third Saturday of each month for 5 hours online. Each course is $125. The total is 6 months, 6 classes, $750. Not bad. We are looking for an enrollment of 1,000 to 5,000. Why? Because we are about to build our academy. $750 times 2,000 to 5,000 people will give us the foundational seeds to start building, to start funding projects like this, brothers, to be able to control consciousness at a certain point where it will not be defiled by the larger parasitic elitist context. So you tell everyone that you can, and if they want to be certified in metaphysical psychology, then you just got to get a taste of it today in this class. What we're talking about, what consciousness is about, how thought works. With what you know, you can go out and tell people exactly what's going on. But there's a little bit more intricacies. There are a lot more intricacies involved in being able to, quote unquote, read a person. But once you're finished with this course, I guarantee you will be looking at people, listening to people, and speaking to people differently. More differently. Differently. More differently than you ever had. Friends, Friends, at templehealing.com. We're setting up a university right now. We will be getting people. We want 2,000 to 5,000 people around the world. This is the start. This is the start. Once a month. I know it's hard. 125. Wow. But think about how much money we just spend on nothing. And we blow on it in a month. On nothing. If you really want this, this will be dependent upon the enrollment. I would really want to see whether or not the brothers and sisters out there are really listening and if they want to take this to the next level. So go up online, tell me you want it, and we will send you the first introductory letter to it. You read it over, see if you like it, tell your friend, and then tell us you're interested, and then we will put you on the enrollment list. And we will send you the second message, or the second communication that will tell you all the things you need to do, how to start, how to begin your payment. First payment is 2 months. You have between now and the third Saturday in March, because this is a spring semester that we'll be beginning. So you figure in between now and March, you might come up with $250. Depends on what you really want. You want a new bling? Then keep it. Do your thing. If you want to know what's going on and what's going to be, come to our university online. Now I'll entertain 1 or 2 questions, and then I will have one last thing to say. Yes, sister.
So, yeah, I wanted to just, I asked you on the phone about King Kong.
King Kong, of course, is a black man. King Kong is essentially what it is that the white woman, remember the white woman now has been failing in her, what do you call it, in her duties. King Kong, all through the movie, represents the impersonal male, but a wrong focus of attention. Kong climbing the Empire State Building shows that he is dealing with the male phallic energy. And that pursuing this white woman, lessons for the brothers, will get you attacked, will get you shot. You're messing with this woman, you will constantly end up at the bottom, in the street, dead. The King Kong is essentially the beast nature, but it's being tamed and being sidetracked by this woman. He has no real interest in her than what it is that she does to entertain him, but then falls in love with her. For what purpose, I don't know. Understand that Kong and the consciousness they put into Kong is the black man. And the fact that if you come up against anything having to do with us, he will take you out. You are strong. Man, listen, in your element, black man, you are the king. You see, there was nothing that could kick his ass. The fight scene with the 3 Tyrannosaurus Rexes was off the hook. The one when he stomped him with the rock. Oh, shit. It was WWF. But take him outside of his element. White man and his land, his paradigm ain't for you. You need to get out and get back. First in here, by leaving that white woman alone. Right now. We love you, white woman, but we can't fall in love with you. Because as Francis Crest says, we're at war. Some people say, well, the best way to win the war is to fraternize with the enemy. Yes, sir.
Phil Valentine, we thank you, and I thank you for the many years that you have brought this information to us, for the many years that you have sacrificed your time and energy. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to ask, are there any organized spiritual organizations or organized mind science organizations or temples that you have attended or that you know about that can bring to us the information, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as a group of people to join?
Fantastic, thank you very much for that, brother. Thank you. Yes, the one that we were looking at, of course, is the Metaphysics Online. The second, which is something I can say here, is that it's very dangerous. But the present structure of what is known as Masonry is going through a monumental change. Monumental. Because younger brothers are coming in. Younger brothers that have a whole other mindset that is causing the old heads to get worried. The problem is that the present edicts and tenets don't match because they only go to 33. Of course, there's 96, but it's all perverted. At present, all I can say is that the superficial degrees we call the 1 to 33. That's what we call it. That's superficial. That's Scottish. York. That's superficial to us. The substantial degrees are essentially what we are writing. Right now, all I can say is, in progress, there is a brother rewriting the 3 master degrees for brothers. And we are calling it the most ancient and sublime Commission Order of Djibouti. And what is happening is that it's taking its time because the old heads need to see what it is that is happening. All I can tell you, brother, is just be on the lookout. Because when it is its time and it's ready to be born, we're going to be looking for brothers, young brothers like yourselves, to go through first the Blue Lodge, to understand how to navigate in the outer society because of the way it's constructed. But then after you do the 3 and the 33, because it ain't nothing but honorary rights anyway, all they're doing is decorating you according to militaristic law. Putting all kind of badges and being Buddhist and hug and all that shit. Don't mean a damn thing. After you go through the superficial degrees from 1 to 33, you go into the substantial degrees. What we call the substantial degrees, which is the 1 through 3, the Commission rights. After you do that, you go through what we call the sublime, which is the highest. That's the Moorish paradise. But once you enter and understand, because when you understand, when you deal with the Masonic law, you overstand when you deal with substantial and deal with the Commission rights. And then you go into the Sanctum Sanctorum and understand when you start dealing with the higher Moorish paradise. And these 3 are going to be the degrees of tomorrow. And Black Masons who just want to picnic and suck neck bones, they're seeing it coming. Right. Because these young brothers coming in now want to study, what you know, and the old heads don't know what they're talking about. So just hold on for a little while, beloved.
What if your website's success was only limited by one single thing? Privacy regulations. Details matter. Imagine if the Egyptians had run out of limestone just before finishing the pyramids. What if NASA had forgotten the password just before putting the first man on the moon? What if you failed to respect your users' data privacy choices? You've poured.
I recently learned I got name checked by. We know Earth was. I'm going to tell you.